Good evening. This is Bike Chat 101. My name is Gunnar Soros, professional amateur cyclist, I guess. Just to say that I'm just a regular guy that rides bikes just like everyone else. So we're here with Ashley from Shredly, and of course the man of the hour, Jonah D. the Hoggle, on all types of social media, Instagram, Twitter, everywhere as the Hoggle. Check him out. He's a great resource of information. And again, my name is Gunnar Soros, otherwise known as Anello Grande, on just about every social media thing you could think of, blogs, YouTube, Instagram, everywhere. And we're going to be talking with Ashley from Shredly tonight. And just a reminder to anyone that's joining in, if you can, every once in a while, just go ahead and click the little button that says Tell a Little Bird. That will get all your Twitter followers to hopefully join this conversation. And if you have a question and just want to type it in, go ahead and type Q/space and then a question, and that'll allow us to get it up on screen and also tags it as a question so that we can answer it quickly.
Excellent. Well, Gunnar, hey, great job. Ashley, thank you so much for coming in. Again, folks, if you're watching this on replay, Bike Chat every Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as Gunnar had said. And I don't know about you, but I get super excited anytime that we bring a prominent entrepreneurial type into the arena, and especially when it comes to women's clothing. I give you a little bit of background from what I know. Again, the interaction was finding a tweet on from Bicycling. It was the JJ short, if I'm not mistaken. So I clearly do not want to steal any of your thunder. I did some research, but please, for our audience out there, Ashley, tell us the Shredly story. I mean, again, you guys started out on Kickstart. You were a graduate of Colorado University. And looks like you've been busy.
Colorado State. I'm a Ram, not a Buffalo.
Oh, whoa. Nice. Yes. Block on. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So please, take it away. Let our audience know about this. And by the way, it's a women's cycling lifestyle clothing. By the way, I don't want to pigeonhole into cycling clothing. So clearly, if you want those, you don't want to spend the Lululemon price. Definitely check out Shredly. I guess probably we'll say that. We'll go back and edit that. Beep. Sorry.
Yeah. Thanks so much, you guys, for having me. This is fun. I've never done this before. I like this. I didn't have to go anywhere, so I was on time. I think I was even early. That's new.
Yeah, right.
So I do talk a little fast. So if I get going, you guys feel free to just tell me to slow it down, and then let me know if you have any questions too.
Not at all.
So where to start is always kind of funny, because looking back on where I started and then where things are now, it's crazy because I don't know if I could even recreate the process. And I'm just an average person. I don't have any experience in the apparel industry in terms of working in it. I do have a degree in apparel design and production, which was definitely because that was what my passion was. That's what I thought I wanted to do when I grew up. And I don't come from the cycling industry. I don't come from the race scene. I'm very much your average recreational rider. And I like, to be comfortable when I'm doing what I love. Same with skiing. I don't think that that's anything new for any of these sports that we love. And when I really started to get more into biking after I graduated from college, I grew up in Colorado. So here, let me start over. I'll start from the very beginning. I grew up in Colorado in the mountains. So I grew up skiing, I grew up biking, I grew up hiking, I did all that stuff. But it's not till you go away from home that you decide which of those things you really love, not because that's what you grew up doing with the family. So we definitely biked as a family, and I kind of hated that because we had to do these long, horrible rides, and I had to finish the whole thing. And I actually did not love it, to be honest. I kind of hated it. I much preferred to tool around on my bike in the neighborhood and go through all the little courses that we had handmade and the jumps that we made and terrorizing the tennis court and stuff like that. So it wasn't really until college that I started biking on my own accord. and I loved it. I'm not a gym rat. And when you drink a lot of beer in college, you have to find some way to get some exercise. So biking for me is really when that became my thing. I could do it on my own. I didn't have to have anybody go with me.
Right.
So it started to really become my thing. And I also wanted to be a designer and live in the city. So I kind of was at this crux of what am I going to do? What am I going to be? And I spent a summer designing in Florence, Italy, under an internship. I wasn't designing. I was doing a design internship.
Okay.
And I thought really that was the direction I was going to go. I was going to be this high-end couture designer. And then I started to go crazy in the city and living in this concrete jungle. And I spent a weekend in Switzerland. And I think that that's the defining moment that I knew I'm going to live in the mountains. And I don't know what that means for my design career, but I'm going to live back in the mountains. So graduated college, moved back to the mountains, got a good job, got a great new bike, started spending more time on the trails, and obviously clothing is what would come next. And I couldn't find anything that I liked. And I can shop easily. It's not hard for me to spend money. But the fact that I couldn't find anything I liked, kind of a little light went off. And I thought, well, I know what I want. So I started talking with girlfriends, and they had the same complaints. Like, yeah, there's nothing fun out there. There's nothing that's comfortable. Like, we hate our black REI bike shorts from the 90s that have the pads sewn in at the waistband. So at first it was kind of going to be, well, I could make these for me and my friends. And then I think it was a combination of realizing that there was other people out there that wanted it, and the fact that I was stuck behind a desk 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. And I was realizing all of this and thinking, I wonder if there is a possibility to make this into a job. I love where I live, and I don't want to sacrifice the lifestyle that I have for a job. Maybe I can do what I love and live where I love. So really it just started as an idea. I had no idea how to start a business. I didn't even know where to start. And I had limited time to start because I had a full-time job. So you guys are really getting a very detailed version. If I need to
that's
skip
awesome.
some of the details, let me know.
I think it's great.
So while working a full-time job, I came up with a name. I came up with a logo, and I was doing this at night. Luckily, I did have some of the skills that I needed from school for the design aspect of it, and the graphic design, which I think some of those obstacles are so hard when you're thinking of wanting to start a business. Sure, that the idea of coming up with a logo is really daunting, and it's these things that inhibit you. And so if you look at my logo now, that is definitely it looks like a homework project. And so there's things in starting your own business that you look back on and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe that I even let that happen. But that's how you start. You just have to start somewhere, and you can always improve. And that is how Shredly was from the beginning. It was me and friends and family, whoever would help, or whoever had advice or somebody that could give me advice, I would always take it. Right. So I started with the little things, and I just decided, okay, I'm going to accomplish one thing a day. And if I'm at least doing that, then I'm making progress. Right. So it took me about 8 months between coming up with the logo, incorporating the name, looking for fabric. It took 8 months before I decided that it was going to even be a real thing. And then it was, so that was in August of 2010. And then in January of 2012 is when I started the Kickstarter campaign. So for all that time in between, there was just sourcing and trying to find the right supply chain, which I obviously didn't have those connections. So it was a matter of talking to the right person who knew someone who knew someone who knew someone. And I got so lucky in instances like that where I really knew the right person that knew the right person that knew the right person. And now I have this great supply chain set up. So the reason why I did Kickstarter is because it was 2012. Obviously, there was no traditional financing available. And when you don't have tax returns and financials to share with banks, they're not interested in really lending you the money. So I had samples. I had pretty much my first line designed, and I knew what I wanted to do with that, but I didn't know where the money was going to come from. So since I was following this plan of just doing one thing a day, the day came where I was like, okay, where is the money going to come from? And Kickstarter was pretty new back then. It was kind of a unknown thing that to me sounded like a ton of work and really scary. But it was the only option that I had at the time. So I created a Kickstarter campaign, and I launched it in January. So in Colorado, in the middle of winter, launching new bike shorts that nobody had ever heard of. in the middle of winter, in the middle of January. Right. It wasn't ideal, but it worked. And maybe that's why it worked, is because it was just weird and bizarre. So that was a piece of the funding for the first year. I definitely had to patchwork for every year, even this year a little bit, financing from different places to kind of get it all together. Right. So that's where the beginning was. And now there's been 4 years. This is the 4th season of Shredly. I actually just finished designing for next year. So that will be the 5th season, adding a couple new things to the line. And it's crazy. It's definitely a story of something that was started from nothing. And when you have a good idea that keeps you up at night, you have to do something about it. And I decided that if I didn't try, that was failing. And if I tried and I failed, that's okay too. But you might as well fail by trying instead of failing from not trying. So that was
that's kind of a learning experience too, then, because if at least you try it and you fail it, well, then you learn from those mistakes and you can move on. If you don't try it at all, well, then you don't learn anything from it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, I have to think that, you know, two major motivators for yourself. You know, myself personally, having, you know, been a clothing buyer, been a rep, it was often a very painful process to sit down with the clothing buyers at these shops and, you know, these you know, larger chain stores, and look them in the face and say, well, yeah, Mr. Retailer, your women are customers. They're gonna love pastels and pink and black shorts, and you know, I really have to say that the saving grace, quite honestly, you know, Georgiana Terry, actually, being from Rochester, New York, you know, she was really one of the early pioneers of, you know, the skirts and those kinds of things and the floral prints. And, you know, I often recall seeing a good number of her designers and workers here that were in town on some of the club rides showing up, and I was like, you know, yeah, like that's somebody that gets it, that's designing clothing, you know, for women. And, you know, I will tell you right now, and it clearly shines in your personality that you're definitely not like, you know, the average consumer, where you're like, oh, okay, well, I'll just wear modified, you know, 8-panel black shorts that are meant, you know, for guys, but modified for girls, and you know, wear like a wrap over it or whatever, and then wear like a, you know, a different tech tee. But here, to your point, and folks, again, just to back up what I'm saying, is if you go to Shredly.com, you can see that just from the assortment, you know, of shorts alone, you know, there's so many different styles and patterns and prints and fun stuff. I had brought up, Gunnar, I don't know if you can grab a picture of the JJ short, which it reminds me of, I know Oliver Cook, he's hanging out. He's gonna probably laugh at this, and Gunnar, you may laugh. Do you guys remember those Jams shorts?
Yes,
I've gotten that before.
Right, and I think that when I saw the JJ short, you know, Ashley, quite honestly, that was like literally the first thing that I thought of. I was like, yes, because, you know, as if the audience and you know, of course, you know, Gunnar and yourself, actually, you can't figure that out. I was clearly the guy wearing the clam diggers, and people were like, no, you're not going to be the guy that wears those. But I mean, I think they're right. There you go. That's the JJ short. And, you know, so I guess let's kind of zone back into to where you were going with this. How did you get inspired, you know, obviously to create different things, but my goodness, it's like, where did you come up with the ideas of like all these different patterns and styles? I mean, truly being 5 years into it, that's part of it, but man, I love this stuff. I mean, it's awesome. I showed my wife, she's like, oh my God, I want this. I'm like, whoa, next page. You know,
right.
Sorry.
It can get out of control sometimes. I think I have a customer who owns 12 pairs, so watch her. You know, it's funny because going back to when I was talking about the black shorts with the chamois sewn on the inside.
Yeah.
I just abandoned bike shorts in all, and I went to board shorts because that was more of the idea. And I think that biking is fun, and I could compare it to dirt biking. When you put your gear on, it's part of the process. Like, you feel like a badass and you look like a badass. You might not be, but you feel like it. And that's all part of the mental game. And when you put your dorky bike shorts on and you feel like a dork, then that doesn't really, it's all part of the experience. And women, I think, are a little bit more affected by that. Like, not in terms of vanity, but just in terms of being comfortable. It's so important to be comfortable. And when you like what you're wearing, you have kind of a different approach going into it. So from the minute that you put your gear on, I think that was one of the things that I was really missing. And so I carefully, when I designed what I was going to produce for the first line, I thought, okay, so first of all, we know we need some cool bike shorts. That's obviously lacking. Second of all, what does that bike short need to look like? What does it need? What functionality does it need? And then, do we want to be able to use it for other things besides biking? Absolutely. I'm a bargain shopper, and I will pay a high price for a high quality product, but I'm really active, and I know that other women are as well. And I don't love the idea that you have to buy something different for every sport. So I knew where my price point was going to end up because I was going to produce in the States. I knew that I was going to be using really high quality fabrics. And then I wanted little special details. So I don't know if you've seen up close at all, but all of the snaps are golden cased black onyx snaps. So they're a custom Shredly item. So I wanted special little touches like that you wouldn't see in bike shorts anywhere else, so that the excitement wouldn't really stop. Like, you see this bike short and you're immediately excited by it, but then you put it on and you were amazed by how comfortable it is. Right. And then you are inspecting it and you keep finding all of these little hidden surprises. So then beyond that, I thought, okay, I'm from a small town. If I was wearing these loud, wild, and crazy shorts, and my girlfriend was wearing the same pair, and my other girlfriend was wearing the same pair, it kind of takes away from the experience. So I knew that I needed more than 3 or 4 colors. And as a buyer, like you said earlier, sitting down with Mr. Retailer, they're concerned about SKUs, and they're limited by other things. And I kind of abandoned that, just like I play the card a lot of that, well, I'm not from this industry, I don't know that. So I have more sizes than most brands, which is a lot to deal with, but women can find the size that actually fits them. There's about 1 inch difference in between our sizes, which is a 00 to 16 size system. And then there is about 3 to 4 inches in between your standard size system, which is an extra small to an extra large. So some women get caught in between and they just don't have an option that fits them. The likelihood of you fitting in Shredly is really high because there is only that 1 inch difference. So aside from just wanting a product that was aesthetically pleasing, and that's where you obviously see all the different patterns come in, I really tried to think of the whole picture and think about what's important from start to finish in terms of comfort, function outside of bike. What happens when all of the women in the same town start to wear the shorts. So I really have tried to take a very practical whole picture view. And because I'm so small and I don't have a lot of layers, because I'm small and I don't have a lot of layers, I don't have very many things approved by anybody but me, which is nice because I can kind of do what I want there. So it gives me a lot of flexibility in terms of the products that I want to offer, the products that women are actually asking for, not the products that, your accountant is telling you that you need to add to the mix. And so I think that gives me a lot of flexibility over the bigger companies. But it is really nice to see that the market is changing. Everybody is trying to address the explosion of women in this market, and it's really exciting to see. I think it's a little bit more reactionary than what would have been preferred, but people are reacting and they're doing, they're making some changes and they're really addressing this market. So I'm just glad that Shredly was able to join the market when we did, because it's all on the up now.
Yeah, no, I would absolutely agree with that. And hey, actually, it looks like Oliver has a question, and again, not urgent to answer at this moment, just answer when you see appropriate. Where can I find these shorts online, and do you have a list of retailers, bike shops on your website so that I can see if they are in a store near me? And now Oliver, I think, is in Minnesota. Is that correct, Gunnar? He's in your neck of the woods. If I believe.
I'm not sure actually if he's from.
We'll check his profile. I think so, but they're good.
So Shredly.com is the best place to go. We sell all over the world. And yes, there is a list. Just on the top navigation, you'll see dealers. And you can see if there's a dealer. It's categorized by state. And you can see if we have a dealer near you. So that should take care of you, Oliver.
Michigan. He's in Michigan.
He's in Michigan.
Michigan.
We, Kalamazoo. You know what? We don't have any. So we don't have any active dealers. I can tell you that. Some dealers we have are crazy active, and some are not so much. So we're working on them. We're training them.
Well, you know, and I have to think that, you know, well, direct / indirect competition. I mean, you know, Club Ride comes to mind. I know that they've been really trying to take on that lifestyle, I don't know, I guess urban cowboy approach, which I think from the West Coast to the Midwest usually gets received very well. But I think the irony is that a lot of the Eastern coast states just don't get that. You know, they look at the stuff, they're like, oh, I don't want to look like a dude or a dudette when I'm out. You know, I don't want to look like I came from a hoedown when I'm riding my bike.
Yeah, that's definitely a what.
By the way, you know, audience, I mean, clearly this is not a slight on Club Ride. I mean, they make great product. I was an ambassador for those guys for a number of months just to try out some of their stuff, and it's great. So as I said, I think that's definitely one of those things that is nice about Shredly, and I think also too that I really want to commend you for the approach that, you know, you took on, you know, the build that they will come. I mean, you know, let's look at, you know, aside of the controversy of the crazy red cup situation with Starbucks. I mean, look at how many people continually not only pay money for like the inline stuff, but their reserve coffees, the high end coffees, and this is just, you know, this is just Starbucks. I would have to say that, you know, retailers across the line can no longer say, oh, sure, Mr. Customer, Mrs. Customer, we have a $50 short for both the guy and the girl, because like you said, I mean, you know, whether you're a guy or girl, you're both going to look at that and you're going to go, there's no difference. And I think you nailed it earlier with board shorts. Absolutely, man. I was on that bandwagon way before anything. And people looked at me, they're like, you know, are you going hiking or are you riding your bike? And Gunnar, you probably can agree with this, is like, I find that the less I look like that, like domestique in a Peloton when I'm on a bike ride, the more comfortable that I am, the better that I am. And you know what? Let's be realistic. That is even more critical when it comes to women, because, you know, it is what it is. I mean, you know, biking is in some respects kind of like a big boy sport. And I will have to tell you, is as a consensus, as a populace, if you polled shops across the board, no question in my mind, they've got like the women's corner, or a couple women's bikes, or one women's glove, or two women's shoes. And, you know, to me, you know, I get that that's not necessarily the customer that's ripping the doors off the hinges. But, you know, when you cue in Shredly and you know, you look at that stuff, and I mean, it's just, it is a no-brainer in my mind. And I feel like even, you know, Gunnar, and I always say this at every scope, I mean, he's like Mr. Tech Geek guy. He's got, you know, he's on Strava, he's got the Garmin, he's, you know, he can tell you how many drops of sweat he sweated just going to get a cup of coffee. But audience, make no mistake about Shredly, they you know, they love to address the detail of things. You know, again, I was looking, I mean, again, I'm a you know, I'm a tech guy when it comes to clothing. Like, if I can sort of show my cards, like if the chamois is dog shit, I'm done. I will not wear it. But at the same time, you know, I don't want to rock a diaper. I don't want to wear tech clothing that, like, I've got to put like Speed Glide on my armpits, for crying out loud, or my freaking nipples, dude. You know, like, I don't know. Excuse me, I said the word nipple on Blab, but I mean, I've tried out you know, samples and garments, and I mean, literally, I felt like I had 20 grit paper on the inside of the shirt, and I'm like, what in the world where are you sourcing
Right.
this fabric? So, I mean, again, back to your point in your story, I mean, that is an incredible undertaking, audience. I don't know if you realize that. I mean, to be able to sit there and say, well, I want to make, I want to make clothing. And by the way, this clothing is made in the USA, which is very hard to do. Okay.
Right.
I really want to emphasize it because I know many people, which I won't name, that are clothiers that started custom clothing, and they felt kind of the pressure, that bubble, in their the seventh and eighth and ninth, 10th years, and they had to kind of go big. And I think that's a fine line when you do that. I mean, people get that, people understand that, but I mean, I will tell you that there's a lot to be said about companies like yourself that are like, you know what, I live in the States, I live in America. I still believe people want quality product. They understand that if it's made in the States, they're going to spend a few extra bucks, but they're going to get what they pay for. So I mean, I think that is an unbelievably impressive undertaking. So my hat's off to you for doing a fantastic service for the cycling community. I mean, first and foremost for the women of the industry, but I just think across the board, you're doing a great thing and leading by example, and I'm sure you're going to start to see others start to follow and not just offer those stock colorways and whatnot.
Yeah, I hope so. And I've learned from an opposite side of the spectrum, from not being in the industry on that side, but I've learned why things are the way they are with a lot of companies. And I commend the companies that are doing it really well, because to create really high performing tech gear is really expensive, and to try to tackle that, tech is hard. Tech is really hard. It's really expensive, and to try to tackle that and produce in the States is definitely difficult. So I'm proud that that's something that we've been able to accomplish, and I'm definitely committed to that. There are certain challenges, obviously, and so that's where I'm so appreciative of the customers that appreciate that and that are willing to spend the premium price for that, because that's whose support we really need to be able to continue doing that.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And now I mentioned it briefly a little bit. You do have what is called it's an ambassador program. Do you want to elaborate that a little bit more for our lady audience or female audience watching this now live or replay, please?
Yeah, of course. So once Shredly started to grow, everybody was really, really excited. And with that came 1 million athlete sponsorship requests. And that was really exciting. I loved that. And so I came to this point where I had to decide, okay, with literally no marketing budget, how do I include these women? And so really this is the philosophy of Shredly, and I'm excited to get to share this because I think it's important for people to hear. When you're a small company, you don't have that budget, okay? You can't afford to, first of all, every pair of shorts counts. Every pair of shorts is like gold. It's a piece of the puzzle that in the end, if there's a piece missing, then you haven't hit your goals, what you need to. So I think that bigger companies who are more fortunate to be able to give product have kind of created this idea in the industry that if you ask for it, you'll get it. So there are a lot of people, I think, that are used to emailing a company and telling them that they race and that this is the team that they're associated with, and they're used to getting something in the mail. So that was a challenge for me because I had to figure out, how do I have this conversation? And I still want these people to support me. These women are part of my market. They're a very important part of the market. And if they don't want to support a brand with their own money, what does that mean for that? Because we need those women to be so excited that there's a brand out there for them and love the product enough that they're willing to spend their own money when typically they could email any other brand and get something for free.
Right.
So I started fielding all of these requests, which was really for sponsorships. And I decided that what I really needed was a core group of women that would be ambassadors. Some of these women who emailed me, they were willing to support the brand by buying, which if you want to support a small business out there, the best thing you can do is buy. You pay full price. You support the brand no matter what. I think a lot of people think that if they get given the product and they're seen in it, that's support. That is absolutely support. But the best thing you can do is you can buy it and you can wear it as well. So I decided that I think that I thought the best approach would be to have this core group of women that believed in the product, that were willing to spend their money on it, that came from all different walks of life, that could represent the brand for anybody, for somebody my age, for somebody who is my mom's age, for somebody who's my grandma's age. And Shredly really does span the generations. It's awesome. I think we have a family photo of my younger cousin who's in her 20s. Me, I'm in my 30s, my mom who's in her 50s, and my grandma who's in her 80s, and we're all wearing Shredly. So it's nice that it does span the generations. But so the ambassador program really was meant to it's what we do in lieu of sponsorships. So we have 11 women, and they're all amazing. One of them is a humanitarian, and she spends a lot of time in Afghanistan, and she's working on getting women on bikes over there. Shannon Galpin, look up Mountain to Mountain. If she's got great things going on right now. She's actually in Greece, and she's helping a lot of the refugees. So I'm so happy to have her as part of the crew. And then I have a mom in Reno who is the ultimate mom. She's always at soccer practice, or she's always riding her bike or her boys race. And she single-handedly, this is the perfect ambassador that I think any brand would love. She had a trunk show, and she started, I think with maybe, I think she's sold probably close to 100 pairs of shorts on her own. She carts them around in her car, and she sells them to people because she loves the brand that much. She wants to support it. And so I was so lucky to get this amazing group of women who each have their own strengths. I have another one, Lonnie Bruntz, who's on the IMBA trail crew, and her boyfriend travel the country, and they're building trail and building awareness. And then I have some athletes, and I would love to talk about all of them. But really I got such a great group of women who will help me eventually with product development. So I also, now that I've launched this program, I get a ton of requests for ambassadorship. At this time, we're not taking any more because 11 in itself is a lot to manage. But
Absolutely.
Really, it was, so to answer your question, it was really the answer to what does Shredly do in terms of sponsorship? So for anybody who's listening, if they're wondering, in lieu of sponsorships, we have ambassadors. And right now we have a group of ambassadors that we're going to stick with for the year. And it makes it easy. It makes it easy so you don't have to pick and choose between who's emailing. Because it really, if you're emailing, this is who's getting it. And this is who's not responding to you because 100 other people have also emailed. So you're on a list. So that actually, it's worked great. Everybody's really excited to be part of it, and they've all been really beneficial. And then things will evolve. Obviously, as Shredly grows, things will probably evolve and be a little bit more of that standard athlete sponsorship. But for now, it's a tight group of ambassadors.
Well, and I have to think that's the best way that you can do that via a grassroots channel. I think I was watching one of Gary Vaynerchuk's episodes, and he was making some cross references with how the music industry started out back in the day with no social media. I mean, they themselves produced the music, and it was the fans of the music that themselves then began to take that message out to the masses. And I think it's exactly that same way with Shredly. And by the way, folks, if you're watching this on replay or just tuning in now, Bike Chat every Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard. We are here with Ashley of Shredly. Check them out at shredly.com. Some incredibly progressive, very savvy and technical women's lifestyle and cycling outerwear. But getting back to my point, I think that that's exactly the way to do it. In my mind, I feel like to your point also. And as I said, I was on the site just looking at the profiles of the individuals that you've chosen. I mean, they're clearly, without question, very well suited for the job and the role to do that. Because I think that what you're going to get is somebody really selling your brand on the drive of passion, not just because they want to see the numbers go up because more dealers are ordering the product. And I feel like if I receive a testimonial from one of my friends or my colleagues that were hanging out on the trail about about grips or a saddle or a seat or, hey, where'd you get those shorts? I mean, I'm going to be much more likely to engage in moving into purchase mode, with little or no questioning, because a lot of that has already been solved. And I feel like, by doing what you're doing with the ambassador program and keeping, keeping the floodgate tight, I mean, that makes sense, because I think just from I think from a manageability perspective, I mean, you still want to make sure that everybody is in check, and the head of the monster knows what the tail of the monsters are doing, or whatever.
Yeah.
To your point, the message consistently gets put out there, and I think that with a lot of these Kickstart spawned bootstrap companies, everybody gets super excited. They have a great brand. They have a pretty decent go-to-market strategy. And then I think all of a sudden they open it wide open, and the timing, in some cases is almost detrimental, because, there's this huge glitch, and it becomes very difficult to, keep the quality, keep the integrity, keep the message. And the other thing too is, by the way, is how are you going to be able to scale this out, like when things really start rocking and rolling? Because if I look on your site right now, I mean, you've got a really good portfolio of dealers. I mean, I'm here, and Gunnar and I are kind of nestled on the East Coast, and, doesn't look like, well, Michigan's covered for sure, and you're up in New Hampshire, but I don't really see much going on in, the Garden States, or even upstate New York, for that matter.
Yeah. And, that was a tough thing to decide when you are a new brand, and sales coming from wherever are going to support you and help you grow. You really have to decide. And it wasn't clear to me until actually year 3 what the perfect path was. And it may change, but the clear path for Shredly right now is to focus on direct sales. And
Sure.
It's just a matter of the margins with dealers. And so I view dealers kind of uniquely. They are all so important, and they are definitely a piece of the puzzle. But for Shredly, if we want to stay committed to U.S. production, it's really important to balance direct versus wholesale. And so it's a teeter-totter, and it took me a while to kind of figure out what that winning combination was. And I learned that it was about a quarter direct and a quarter wholesale and 3/4 direct. So that actually made it really easy for me, because since I was just me and I didn't have a sales force and I didn't have reps, I at first was really soliciting and looking for dealers to take on. I think the first year I started with 17, the next year it grew to 34, and then the year after that about 50. And I hit this point where I was spread so thin that me spending my time traveling around and going to visit new dealers and acting as the only rep just wasn't efficient. And when I realized that that wasn't what was sustaining the business to begin with, that I really had to become very selective. So this is the first year that I've done this, and it actually worked really well.
Nice.
I actually haven't solicited for dealers really after the second year. I kind of just took them as they came to me. I feel like those that are going to do well with the product are out there looking for new product, and they're going to come to you instead of you going to them. And then it's an easy sale. You're not convincing them of anything that they don't know. They want the product. They want to carry it. They're going to do well with it. And so I really scaled back the time that I was spending on that. And that was really actually very helpful. So this year what I did is I opened up applications. So anybody that wanted to become a dealer could apply, and then you had to submit an order. You had to be approved. I want everybody to do really well with the product, and there's some that you can tell are just not set up for it.
Right. Yeah.
They want to grow their women's side, and it's kind of like what comes first, the chicken or the egg. If you don't have that core customer as a woman, then are you going to really do very well with women's products, or do you need to kind of ease into it? So it's been a learning curve for everybody involved, but I've been really lucky because that side of it is growing organically, and now it's to the point where I'm able to pick and choose. And so I can pick smartly. And so this year I opened up applications, and then took on only a select number of dealers, and it's actually working really well. So to answer your question, the East Coast is just a little behind. I get less requests from you guys out there. And I think that it kind of goes back to what we were talking about with Club Ride, that there definitely the West Coast embraced it first. I'll say that. And then now it's and then of course in Colorado, because we're located there, and it's kind of, it's making its way towards you. We'll say that.
Right. Well, and I think, I think it's exactly that. It's it's anybody can go to the local wine store and get a $6 bottle of wine. Whereas I think if you're getting into quality, that is certainly another story. Tommy Crowder asks a question. Our good friend Tommy K. Harley Boy, what up? He's asking, where did you get the name Shredly? Which is actually a great question, by the way.
Yes. So I don't get to take credit for it. My girlfriend, I had two of my best friends. We were actually going to start Shredly together, and I was the driving force behind it. And in the end, I was the only one that really became the business. And one of them came up with it. My friend Stacy. We were just emailing back and forth and trying to come up with names, and we had all these cheesy names, all these funny things. It's a really hard thing to do, to come up with a name for a business. And I'm still not 100% sold on it, but the name's not going to be changing anytime soon. But so it originally started as Shredly, and then the tagline was for girly chicks who shred. So we dropped that tagline, and now it's adventure in style, but kept the name Shredly. And it's not because my name is Ashley. People ask me that all the time. Is it LY because your name is Ashley? No, it's just that shred is like this gnarly, hardcore word. And then the LY makes it nice and kind of girly, and it's always in gold when you see it anywhere. And so that was kind of the essence of the brand, that like you can be gnarly and you can shred, but then you can also still look like a girl,
right?
And be a girl and be okay with that.
Right.
Yeah.
And I did want to say, I wanted to finish by saying something that supporting local businesses is something that I firmly believe in as a consumer. And in doing this balancing act of direct versus wholesale, it definitely comes up. People want to support their local bike shops, and we love that. We definitely support that. We're not trying to take any business away from that. I try to tell people that we are local. It's a grassroots business. It's located in Colorado, but if you're buying from New York, you're still supporting a local business in essence. I mean, because I kind of view it as the U.S. is our playground, is our home base. Oh, hello. We have somebody new.
How's it going?
Tommy? Good. How are you?
Hi, good. I've been. I just finished dinner. I've been kind of listening to everything that has been going down. You have a great product here. Your whole line's fabulous. I'm looking at it as I'm sitting in my car off the side of the road. You have a fantastic.
Thank you.
And I just said I just ordered a pair of board shorts for my wife.
So shoot!
Where at in Colorado are you located? I didn't hear that though.
Carbondale.
Oh, right on, down by Aspen.
Yeah, it's between Aspen and Glenwood.
Yeah. Love the area. Yeah, my brother. I go out there 2-3 times a year.
Oh, awesome.
Snowman.
My dad was a patrolman on Snowmass for 17 years, so I grew up skiing there. I love it there.
Yep. My brother-in-law is kind of a legend in Snowmass. So.
Oh, what is his name?
Nathan Burkle.
I don't recognize that name. He must not be too much of a legend. I'm kidding.
He spends a lot of time at Belly Up. He's a big DJ at Belly Up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
I probably have seen him. Hi.
This is my wife.
Oh, hello.
I showed her US. She goes, "Oh my God, those are the clothes." So Tommy, he just bought a pair. He's sitting there, he's chiming in. He goes, "I just bought a pair of board shorts." So I'm like downsizing your website, your page right now, so she can see it. So
it's nice to meet you.
Yeah. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. All right. He's like, awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Miss the D's first broadcast.
Yes, that was her first time on Blab.
Oh.
Nice.
She and I both.
Yeah, it's funny because it definitely seems like it's Blab in general. There's like two different schools of thought. Some people are like, that's that's whatever it is, and it's amazing. And again, by the way, I really want to compliment you for just putting it out there and coming on to the show tonight. This has been a pleasure.
Thank you. Wait, I have to go back on something. Tommy, did you say that you bought a pair of board shorts as in you bought a pair of Shredley shorts for your wife?
Yeah, I'm trying to process it right now.
Oh, well, I didn't mean to say no. I meant to say thank you. I thought you meant you bought your wife a pair of board shorts for riding because you didn't know about Shredley yet. But no, that's awesome. She's going to love them. She's going to love you.
Yeah, she is. She's I just texted her. I was like, hey, check out Blab right now, but I don't see her on here. And we have a 15-month-old son, so she's busy, and I'm constantly out of state, so it just makes it that much harder for us. But
well, that was very sweet of you. Thank you. I appreciate it. I have to tell you, so one of the things we haven't really touched on a little bit is that all the shorts are multi-purpose. So the fabric is really lightweight but durable, so it's great for cycling, but it's also quick dry. So like you said, board shorts, they're intended to be used for everything. Nice. So you're picking a winner.
She can kill a wake. She's quite the wakeboarder too.
Oh,
so. Yeah.
Perfect. Send pictures.
I'm looking at your dealers here. Do you have anything in Snowmass or Aspen? Are you at Radio by any chance?
Radio, actually, Travis, who's the owner of Radio, is one of the people I mentioned in the very beginning who knew somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody. And he carried us he's so great. They're so great. No, so not at Radio anymore, but in Aspen at the Ute Mountaineer. We do really well in outdoor shops so they're not a bike shop, but we do really well in outdoor stores because they're so multi-purpose. So if you're in Aspen, head to the Ute Mountaineer. Otherwise, stop by Bristlecone in Willits on your way up.
Fantastic. I will.
Nice.
Thank you.
Yeah,
and I'm also going to check out the City Hub in Muskegon. We have a lake house up on Lake Michigan, so that's right down the road from our lake house in Michigan. My wife will be happy to know that you're close by.
Oh, perfect. Tell Tim hello.
I will.
Nice.
Are we wrapping things up, you guys? I'll just keep talking, so you'll have to cut me off.
No, that's okay. I mean, that is the beauty of Blab, and that is the nice thing about Bike Chat. As I said, we just started this to provide value add to our audience, and we're very excited to be able to offer a variety of different things. And again, if you folks are watching this on replay, thank you for tuning in. Again, you're watching Bike Chat with Jonah DePasquale and Gunnar Soros. We have Ashley from Shredley. They produce fine ladies activewear and lifestyle clothing, not necessarily just for mountain biking alone, but it's been a great show. If you're just tuning in now, be sure to watch this on replay. We will have the audio as well as the link available. The infamous Harley boy Tommy Crowder tuning in, and also wanted to give a shout out to Red Flag Dan's in the house, Oliver Cook is in the house, as well as many people just out there lurking. But again, at the top of the hour, we are going to wrap this up. I'm sorry, go ahead, Tommy. You had a question?
Nope.
All right, radio silence. Again, other than that, I'll turn it back over to Gunnar to wrap us up, take us home. We'll pop off of we'll put recording on pause, and we'll share some clothing. Good Lord, Susie sold seashells down by the seashore for crying out loud. But we'll share some closing comments and go on from there. But in the meantime, do give Gunnar Soros a follow on Twitter. It's at Anello Grande for all the information. You can check out his blog. You can check him out also on Periscope. And, of course, myself at The Hoggle. You can find me on many of the social platforms, primarily Twitter. Of course, none other than the bike Harley boy himself, Tommy Crowder. And most importantly, be sure to give Shredley a follow at Shredley. They are on Twitter, Instagram, and also check out their Facebook page as well.